Well, welcome again to God Talk. This is Pastor Dan, and we talk about God. And we've been working through some sermons from Psalms. The Psalms is so good. If you haven't been reading from the Psalms recently, then get back to that. I sometimes read the Bible through. I started with the Psalms. It's just that good. I want to go back and read that over again, over and over. So let's start with this. Suppose you win the lottery and you get $100 billion. Not 100 million, 100 billion. There is no limit. You're richer than no other rich guys in the world. You're up there with Gates and Bezos and all the others. All of a sudden, you can make your own heaven down here. You have a house looking over on a cliff over the ocean. You can see the ocean from all sides. You have pools with dolphins and slides and everything. You've got tennis courts. You're at your own golf course. You have like a ship cruise buffet for every meal. Choose whatever you want. Nothing will ever make you sick. You will always be healthy, whatever you eat. You have every pleasure imaginable. You can watch any movie you want. You can have houses for all your favorite people, your family on your same street. You're all right here together. Landscaping is perfect. Ferrari to go anywhere you want at 200 miles an hour. Doesn't get any better than this. But no God. Everything that we think heaven will be, but no God. Or, I offer you God and none of the other stuff. You have God. But no mansion, not the music, not the golf course, not the house on the beach, not any of that. But you have God. If you had to choose heaven without God or God without heaven, what would you do? Psalm 42. As the deer pants for streams of water, so my soul pants for you, O God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. Where can I go and meet with God? David's probably in exile. He can't go to the temple. He's hungry. Maybe you can feel this. A lot of us haven't been able to go to our church. I haven't had an indoor church service in a year. Now, I went the other day, and I was in the auditorium for my friend's retirement. Even though I was in the overflow in the fellowship hall, I was in church with people again, even sitting far away, all masked. I'm doing a wedding this afternoon in the church, people sitting carefully, hungry to be with God. Feel the people of God. Do you feel this? What does it mean to have a heart relationship with God? My Uncle Maury Venden passed away now, made a lifetime. We're not saved by our work, saved by our relationship. What does it mean? Have a heart for God. That you would rather spend time with God than to go shopping or to play video games or to go watch sports or to have a meal or whatever. You want to be with God. A relationship. Jesus said, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. They will be filled. Now we have to ask some questions. What if you don't feel those things? What if? But look what the Bible says. Psalm 63, 1 and 2. You are my God. Earnestly I seek for you. My soul thirsts for you. My body longs for you in a dry and weary land where there was no water. Psalm 143, 6. I spread out my hands for you. My soul thirsts for you like a parched land. Song of Solomon. I read Song of Solomon again last night because this wedding today is from the Song of Solomon. The whole service filled with Song of Solomon, and I'm going to preach from Song of Solomon. So here, chapter 3. All night long on my bed I longed. I looked for the one my heart loves. I looked for him but did not find him. I will get up now and go about the city through its streets and squares. I will search for the one my heart loves. So I looked for him but did not find him. The watchmen found me as they made their rounds in the city. Have you seen the one my heart loves? Scarcely I had passed on when I found the one my heart loves. I held him and I would not let him go until I had brought him to my mother's house. Isaiah 26 verse 9, my soul yearns for you in the night. In the morning my spirit longs for you. You ever feel that? I've got a lot of C.S. Lewis in here. C.S. Lewis is really big on this desire and longing for God. In the Chronicles of Narnia, the one on the silver chair, it's an allegory. And Jill finds out there is no other stream. This is the one. The next page, Aslan, who represents Christ, the lion, says, I called you. And the kids say, no, we called you. And Aslan says, no, you would not have called to me if I hadn't called you first. The idea that God is the one who puts the desire. He is not waiting for us to have the desire and then he responds. He is first. He puts that original desire. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except what? Through me. John 12:32, and I, if I be lifted up, will draw all men unto me. God's the one putting that desire in our hearts. 1 John 4:19, we love him because he first loved us. Philippians 2:12 and 13, he works in us both to will and to do according to his good pleasure. The heart comes from him. Revelation 3:20, behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hear the voice, look out. I will come in. Who starts? The desire comes from God first. So God is always inviting. God is always creating the hunger in us. God, we say we are made with a God-shaped vacuum. This desire, this longing that for more. And we know our life is not quite firing on all cylinders. Something is missing. How many people have come to me, my office, kids from the university? Pastor, I did. Something is missing. Nicodemus went to Jesus, a rich man. Something is missing. Rich young ruler, come to Jesus. He's rich. What else do I need? Simon wants to buy the Holy Spirit from the disciples. He knows they have something he doesn't have. Desire. Augustine, the famous quote, thou madest us for thyself, and our heart is restless until it rests in thee. He made us in his image. We're not like the monkeys and all the rest. He made us with something to long to be with him. So I'm doing a wedding today. And at the end of the wedding, I'm going to say, like I usually do, you have desire. God put that desire. But the desire is, first of all, not for each other, but for God. Don't expect this one person to ever satisfy that desire, because they can't. Only God can fill that. I said, if you'll put God first, fill your life with God, then put each other. It's the closest we will come in this world to feeling filled, satisfied. Well, that leads to the next question. If God is putting this desire in us all the time, why don't we seem to identify that, feel that? I suppose it's because we misread the label. We misdiagnose what we're feeling. We think that what we are really feeling is, I need to go buy some stuff at the mall. If I could just have a new computer, if I could just have a new gadget, if I could have a new clothes or buy something new for the house, if I could. And we buy that thing and it feels good for 5 minutes and then it wears out, we've got to go buy something more. Or maybe if I could just have more money. If I could just get that check, if I could just get to that level, if I could pay that off, if I could have the house paid off, if I could, I would feel okay. The more money you have just makes hunger for more. Or if I could just travel. If I could just go to Hawaii, we're ready to go. I have friends in Hawaii right now. Our son was there last week. He sent pictures. Oh, I wish I was there. We have a wish list. We have a bucket list. When we retired, now we can't go. We want to go. We want to go to Iceland. We want to go see New Zealand. We want to go hike where they go around Mont Blanc. I watched that last week. I thought, oh, I want to do that. I would be happy if I could just do those things. Or if we could buy a camper and just go off boondocking, be off in the woods by ourselves somewhere, we'd be happy. Or if I could win that game, if I could win that championship, if I could be good at that, I'd be happy. Or if I could just get married. If I could just find the right person and get married, I think I'd be all good. Or if I could eat that, whatever it is. People who are younger think if I could just have sex, that'll do it, I think. If I could just do that. And kids listen to music, hoping to find it. Or they play video games, hoping to have this vicarious victory in the game. I go to temples around the world, the different worship. People go there looking. Only with God. And God wants to shout to us. He said, this hunger you're feeling for all those things is really for me. I put that there. I made you to be with me. And nothing else is going to fill that. Those are all shortcuts. Those are all going to end up leaving you unsatisfied. It's not going to work. These are all hungers and thirsts for God. Understand what you're looking for. I have a relative, I won't give you any more details on that, but has been looking for 40 years. Watches every show, watches Oprah. And Oprah says, get this book, she gets the book. Reads that book. Oh, this is it. Dan. Still looking. I want to shout at her. You're looking for God. You left the one who could do this for you. What you left behind is not the real God. That was false religion. You're looking for God. Doesn't know it yet. Maybe C.S. Lewis is the strongest one to use this idea that all these pleasures, every pleasure comes from God. Satan comes up with nothing. These are all God's inventions, pleasure and humor and beauty and sport and art and music and food and love and sexuality and all these things are all gifts from God. But none of them are end in of themselves. God is hoping that when you get the little burst of pleasure from that, which is a few seconds or a minute or whatever, that you will be satisfied only with that from Him. As soon as you have that little moment, what do we do with it? We want to bottle it. What can I do to get that again? That felt good. So you go to a mission trip. That's one of the better ones I found. If you go to a mission trip and you get involved and you build a house or you build a school, you build a church and you hand it to the people, it feels good. People love you. They thank you. It's wonderful. I said, boy, once I got a taste of that, I couldn't. Never enough. I want more. Never gets old. You listen to music, and boy, that's so good. And God is hoping that you'll make the transition to Him. Every pleasure that you experience, the first kiss. I think I felt that kiss for a week on the steps of the airport in Bangkok, Thailand, 16 years old. Snuck a kiss into this girl. I got a kiss back. But eventually that kiss wore out. First time you see the Taj Mahal. First time you get to see Mount Matterhorn in Switzerland. First time I went scuba diving in the Key West and you drop down and say, wow. Moments of pleasure that are exquisite. Campfire at the beach on the coast of Oregon. We would drive over after church. Being with the kids, my youth group on the sand dunes of Florence, Oregon. I'll never forget. And here we are in the moonlight with a guitar and with these kids, and we love Jesus and we love each other, and it's pretty special. How can we keep creating these moments? But as soon as you try to bottle that moment, it's okay, let me mix this recipe and have that moment again. It flits away. And C.S. Lewis takes that and he says, because those moments are markers and tip-offs, that there is a bigger thing called joy. That's what C.S. Lewis called it. And we all have this nostalgic sense, somewhere, someplace, if I could just get back to that, where we were born, we came out of the womb, that was a happy place. Or when we were kids and there was no pressure and we didn't have to work and it was beautiful and a land of fantasy. It's what Walt Disney tried to recreate at Disneyland, the happiest place on earth. If I can just make you happy, pay $170 for this day. Stand in line for 2 hours for every ride. But he's hoping that we'll take those moments, that first kiss, those magical campfire dinners. I could have this all the time with God. As the deer pants, it's for God. C.S. Lewis is how he became a Christian. He's an atheist. He's a brilliant, genius atheist. But as he kept reading literature and as he had these personal moments, when you get a little fleeting sense of joy, and then it's gone, those are signs that there is such a thing called joy. Deep, abiding, filling joy. And he said, there's got to be a place like that. Then what are the odds that everybody around the world would have the same longing for that kind of joy? And there wasn't such a thing, or such a place, such a person. Everybody wants to go on a cruise. I don't know who came up with this idea, but it's a great idea. We have one planned for next year. We've been on 2, Alaska, one other one down in Mexico. You get up in the morning, you have to do anything. Everything is taken care of for you. They make your bed. It's all perfect with little cute towels on the bed. You go to a buffet, there's 100 things. Pick out what you want. Go sit looking over the ocean. You can have soft ice cream like water. Just put the cone there, another ice cream cone. There's a gorgeous show every night with music and beauty. There's music going on down the lobby all the time. There's beauty of walking around. You get to go off and see the whales and see the bears and do all these things. Or if you have the money, you can fly an airplane or a helicopter somewhere. Kayaking. But then you got to get off the boat. And you have to wait till the next time you can go. We look forward to Hawaii all year long. We have a very cheap timeshare. We love it there. But there comes a time you got to clean the floors, put everything away, take all the trash out, carry all this stuff out to your car, go to the rental car, turn that in, go to the airport, get in line with 300 other people who are ending their magical vacation, and then fly on a plane all night, and you land and you're exhausted from your vacation. You look forward to Christmas. And you get a tree and you decorate it with all the ornaments and you put presents and all your family comes and you work to have a dinner and it's so good. And then it's all over, and you put all the trash in the bag, and you wheel it out to the sidewalk, and you take your bedraggled tree that's lost all its greenery, and you put it out on the sidewalk, and you see these houses with the old tree out in front. And then January comes, and you're back to work. Wait for another year. Or you wait for retirement. If I could just retire. Get up in the morning and don't have to go anywhere. No one is waiting for you. There's no stress. There's no pressure. And you think you'll be happy. But somehow the yard still needs work, and somehow stuff still breaks in your house, and somehow you still don't have quite enough money, so you think, I'll work a little bit. And you begin to have some aches and pains, and it's not quite as easy or good as you thought. Because we're made for another place, and for another time, and for God Himself. As the heart longs for you, oh God. I love you, Lord. So, how's your heart for God today? We're looking for God. And C.S. Lewis says, when we get to heaven, you will finally feel at home in a way that you have never felt before. We look forward to when we can pay off our house. Or you look forward to a house in the first place. Someone asked me this week, Pastor Dan, can you rent a house to us? Can you buy another house and then we'll rent from you, Pastor Dan? They're needing a house. Then you get a house, and then you got 20, 30 years to pay it off. Then it becomes your house. As long as you pay the taxes, they can't take it away from you. It's your house. But he says, when the time you walk into heaven, you walk into your place. God says, I'm preparing a place for you. You will feel at home for the first time. I preached this last week. I had a Vietnamese friend here in Riverside. I've known him a long time. He's early 60s now. Been divorced a long time. He has a son who's 30 years old. He went over to Vietnam, and I was in Vietnam, and I'm preaching Friday night, and he points to this lady and said, this is going to be my wife. You getting married? Somehow he kept that secret. So I was not involved in the wedding. Another year, he got pregnant, had a baby. He's here, she's there, can't come yet. We were over there for a trip. We went and did a weekend at her church. They invited us to her house for dinner, and her parents. Here's a little baby. Here he is. He's holding his baby. He gets to be with his son for a few days. Beautiful, wonderful, godly, righteous wife. She came last week. I got to preach at that church, and I preached a sermon. At the end of the sermon, I said, someday we're going to go to heaven, and we will feel at home. This is what you're feeling right now. You got to be home. She had to leave her home in Saigon, Vietnam, to come here. She feels very displaced. But I said, you will not feel home, even though you own a home, even if she is here with you, until you walk into heaven. That is the home where we were made. C.S. Lewis says, when we see the face of God, we will know that we've always known it. In all the faces of our favorite people, and all the dinners and the Christmas dinners and the campfire talks and whatever, the people that you love the most, who love you the most, we will see those in the face of Jesus and know we were looking for Him all along. It says, blessed are those who hunger and thirst, and you will be filled. David says in the Psalms, a day with God in your courts is better than 1,000 down here at home. Every second of heaven we will feel at home. Every second of heaven will feel like what we feel when you eat a bowl of ice cream. And you feel, when you get married and you feel love from somebody, heaven will feel like that all the time. And Jesus says to the woman at the well, would you give me a drink? But if you'll drink from me, you will never thirst again. Then He feeds 5,000 people in John 6. And then he says, I am the bread of life. If you'll just eat me, you will never hunger again. And they ate it all and they were satisfied. Jeremiah 29, you will seek me and you will find me. We do not have to wait for heaven to begin the feeling of this. Hebrews 6 says we can taste now of the powers of the age to come. And I will say to this couple today, if you will fill yourself with God and then enjoy each other in this way, it is the closest that we will come to here, to feeling full and satisfied. Someday we will walk through the gates of heaven and be filled with God. Luckily, you and I don't have to make a choice. God says you can have me and you can have the mansions and all the rest of it. But one person says, he who has God and nothing and everything else has no more than someone who has God alone, because God will fill us. I dated a girl in high school, and then she went away to another college, and I had a week to go see her. I'm in the middle, in Michigan, Wisconsin. Someone loaned me their BMW that had a special turbocharger in it, and I had to drive 2,000 miles to go to see her. I started out at the speed limit. But as I realized the power that this car had, you could pass a truck and put the floor down and just rock it by people. There came a time when I was going 100 miles an hour down on wide freeways of Wyoming and Nevada, no one else around, faster and faster to see that girl. That's what's happening with us now. We're coming to the day when we will walk through the gates and we will see him face to face. Everybody who has a near-death experience feels this love that comes from God, hates it when they come back here. Someday we will be in the presence. And we will know, he says, we'll go from the sunbeam. You go from the sunbeam to the sun. You go from the picture to the real person. You go from the stream to the river. And someday we will walk into the source of it all, the one we've been looking for all our lives. David says, as the deer pants, I pant, I long for you. Someday we will be satisfied. Someday we will be healed. Someday we will be filled. That's the promise. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst, for they will be filled. This is God Talk. See you next week.